Fabian perspective, expect it, so accept it. You know what time it is. If they don't like, they don't comento y suscribe.
Hey,
Got
man,
my guy over here.
y'all know the drill. I'm sorry I always cut him off. Hey, because once again, I don't know what he's really saying. So I'm going to say share, like, comment, subscribe. Hit the like button, man. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. My brother Fabian, how's everything going?
I'm cool, man. AllBall reaction.
Yes.
What's so crazy
Uh-oh.
is that I'm listening to Bill Simmons podcast,
Big
and
shout
I
out Bill Simmons.
stumble upon big shout out Bill Simmons, the OG of podcasting, and I stumble upon like the Boston version of AllBall.
Oh,
He's
man,
talking about.
I can't wait to hear this. Let's go. What are you talking about?
He's talking about Gregg Popovich and Bill Belichick.
Ho. What is he? In 2 words, what is he saying about them? Hold on. Pray that he's saying the same thing I'm saying. What is he saying?
Overrated.
Oh, you got to be lying. I need proof. I do not believe you. I need proof. Because it seems like I'm the only one on planet Earth that has been saying that for how long now?
Go back and you look at all the moves for the last 3 years. Reminds me a little bit of the Patriots, where people think the Patriots are this smart, sophisticated team, and Belichick, I guess maybe they don't think it as much anymore, but they thought it for a while. But the Pats fans were like, man, we keep effing up these drafts. And wait, why did we do this? And wait, why did we? And then all of a sudden, right around last year, I think people collectively realized, is this Belichick thing as good as it used to be? And we had our moment. And it doesn't feel like the Spurs have totally had their moment with Popovich yet. At least the fans. I think the fans are starting to kind of look at each other and go, wait a second, what's going on here? But if you just go backwards, 2020, they took Devin Vassell, who I like, 1 spot over Halliburton. Defensible because they had Murray and Derek White at the time, but looking back, a disaster. They traded Derek White for basically Romeo Langford and an expiring and a late first-round pick, which turned out to be Blake Wesley, and a 2028 pick swap with the Celtics. And if you look back at that trade now, that trade is a disaster for them. That's a flat out disaster. Derek White's probably an all-star, and you could make a case he's the second most valuable Celtic, and they're the best team in the league. So that trade's terrible. They drafted Primo in 21, 13th, and took him over Şengün. And you can go back and watch any of the draft stuff we did that year, or even the post-draft pod that I did with Russillo and KOC. We thought Şengün should have gone basically from 8th on. Every single pick, we were stunned that nobody took him. The Spurs not taking him is among the worst because nobody even had Primo in the top 20. And then they had to waive him because he had some off-court stuff. That pick is a catastrophe. 2022, they took Sohan over Jalen Williams, which seemed fine at the time, but Jalen Williams, I think, is just way better than Sohan now. So not great for them. They spent $209 million in the summer of 2023 on extensions for Keldon Johnson and Vassell, who are the second and third best guys on a 4-25 team. Not awesome. They dealt Pirtle for a top 6 protected pick from Toronto. I don't mind it. Then they did some weird summer of 2023 stuff where instead of I was saying the whole summer, target Austin Reeves, go get Austin Reeves. They used all their cap space and they got Reggie Bullock, Chetty Osman, Lamar Stevens, Cam Payne, and just picked up a bunch of seconds. Could you trade those 6 seconds for Austin Reeves? I'm pretty sure you can't. And then the making Sohan the point guard in 23 was the dumbest thing anyone did this season. So I look big picture, and we talked about this a little last week, but I'm just going to say it again. We were all saying, oh man, Wemby, what a great situation for him to land with the Spurs. Was it a great situation? Because this team has not made good moves now for 4 years. And even playing Sohan at point guard was terrible for Wembanyama.
There you go. The Boston AllBall.
And hold on. Am I blushing? Like, what's going on? I can't stop smiling. Like, why is my mouth turning up like that? Like, what? Listen, man, big shout out Bill Simmons, who has the cojones to speak the truth. I've been saying this for years now. People flame me over this. Bill Belichick and Gregg Popovich is the most overrated coaches in sports history. And what Bill just did explains it all. You know how you have a friend and somebody may go, hey, that's not your friend? And it's like, you don't never know until you get into a situation. And then you go, wow. Remember, that situation could take 10 days. It could take 10 years. But until you be in a situation where you know for sure, you don't know. Bill Belichick and Gregg Popovich have never been in situations where you couldn't tell if they were great coaches. So how he just broke that down. Let me start with Bill Belichick first. See, for me, former players said it. So that's all I need to hear. I'm not going to say no names, but like they've been saying, Bill was making the draft picks. Nobody liked Bill. They never want to pay nobody. Nobody want to play over it. They said it was like a prison. These are from former players. A lot of guys literally said we went over there because of Tom Brady. Him taking pay cuts, him being a winner, him being a good guy, treating people fair. So now that we see Bill Belichick doesn't have Tom Brady, he looks below average. And I'm not saying you have to win a Super Bowl. You don't even have to get to a Super Bowl. But when you're literally not competitive at all, 2, 3 games, 4 games the most, how can we respect that? I'm sorry. Now, your thoughts on Bill Belichick before remember, the smoke I got with Bill is nowhere near the smoke I got with Gregg Popovich. So your thoughts on what Bill Simmons said about Bill Belichick?
Well, I've always thought it was everyone, Phil Jackson, all these guys are overrated, in my opinion, because what I always say, y'all keep talking about Phil Jackson, these guys who they already like implemented a system that was already there. For me, my favorite NBA coach has been Don Nelson. He's been innovative. Everything they do today, he's been doing. I think he's high up there in terms of all-time wins.
Can I cut you off just real quick, and I'll let you finish. Only reason why I can't say Phil Jackson is overrated, and that's my number one coach of all time, he's done something no one has ever done. He has 3 three-peats. He has 3. Not 1, not 2. I'm listen.
But you got 4 Tom Brady's in that scenario.
All right, and you once again, and you win every time. How many guys got superstar teams and don't win?
Right, but what I'm saying is, Greg, that doesn't disprove you not being a good coach. Like they could be a good coach, maybe really good coaches. Like Steve Kerr has to be. He's going to come to the forefront when Steph Curry's all done with. Because all right, it's a new system, it's a new player.
He's coming to the forefront now as being a little. but this is not no smoke for him. I'm sorry. Finish your Bill Belichick because I'm eager to get to Gregg Popovich.
Because Belichick, remember, he's been around winning from the 80s and on with the Giants. He started off with us, the defensive. He
wasn't the head coach, and who he had on that defense?
Of course, LT,
right,
the OG of football. But what I'm saying is that he's still around winning for that long, just in general. So I can't say he doesn't know football. I can't say he's not good. And we saw him as a head coach for the Cleveland Browns. Trash. So when they said he was that great, I'm like, yo, y'all got him as the GOAT?
So I can say
I've never said it.
How many breaks did the Patriots get in football history? How many times they got caught cheating? How many breaks they got? How many BS calls they got? Let's call it how it is. If Bill Belichick don't get that help from the NFL, come on, man. I'm sorry. I'm over Bill Belichick. He needs to retire.
But that doesn't disprove that he's great. I think that happens to every winning scenario. The Golden State Warriors are got away with how much with Draymond Green. It happens with them. When you're great, the Bulls, Michael Jordan got away with a whole bunch of stuff. And we can nip this, talk about it real quick. The all-time wins. This is Bill Belichick's record with Tom Brady is 249 and 75, a 76%, 77% winning percentage, 6 Super Bowls. Without Tom Brady, he's 83 and 101, 45% winning percentage.
Come on, bro.
Get Bill Belichick the fuck out of here.
ASAP. And that is AllBall reaction with Bill Belichick, Darth Vader. How are you a mean person? Don't want to pay nobody. Don't nobody like you, and you can't win no fucking games. You know, get out of here. Overrated.
No, that's horrendous, and that goes for anybody without a good quarterback in the NFL. It's tough. That's why Parcells was the man who built a defense, a true defense.
Exactly.
I didn't understand how Belichick was better than him, but
Right.
that's neither here nor there. And segue into your favorite coach of all time, just like Gregg Popovich. Belichick draft picks are suspects. Well, I'm sorry, his trading, his acquisitions are suspect. Going to Gregg Popovich now, he has talented players, but what the hell are you really doing? Who did you trade the Dejounte Murray for, like Bill Simmons said? Who did you trade the other guys for? Any one of these draft picks? It's kind of horrible.
Now, Gregg Popovich to me is more overrated than Bill Belichick because, as we know, football is probably a more difficult sport to play. You dealing with more people, more players, more attitudes, more everything. Well, Bill Simmons, how he broke that down about Gregg Pop. Let me just say this. We can go back to David Robinson. He did not help David Robinson's game. Tim Duncan, that was inevitable. He was going to be great. I give him props for Tony Parker for hanging on to him, giving him the confidence. Manu Ginobili was going to be Manu no matter what. But let me tell you how Bill Simmons broke it down. I ain't even got to get that depth into it. Steven Jackson even said, remember, yeah, Gregg Popovich is a good father figure, but I'm talking about coaching. I don't care about how good you treat somebody. I'm talking coaching. Steve Jackson got out of there. DeJounte Murray got out of there. You ran Kawhi Leonard out of town. You didn't even know what you had in Kawhi Leonard. Look at everything you did. When you don't have super duper stars, you are literally irrelevant. You lose 18 games in a row. You win one. You lose another 3 to 5. Now you just beat the Portland Trailblazers, which we all know is, besides Detroit, probably one of the worst organizations and worst teams in the NBA. So for me, to see Gregg Popovich for the past 5 whatever so years, literally, he ain't tanking. He ain't that good. And he got solid players. They not scrubs. He just don't know how to coach them. You ain't have to coach Tim Duncan. You ain't have to coach Ginobili when Ginobili said, I'll come off the bench. Come on, bro. Then you had vets, Mario Elie, Sean Elliott, Avery Johnson. Like, nah, bro. Nah. So at the end of the day, he had enough sense to know I got a mature crew. You know, I'm a coach. Let me tell you something. See, now I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to tell you who's better than Gregg Popovich. Eric Spoelstra.
Oh, 1,000%.
The NBA coaches, the legends, are lucky that man doesn't have 4 rings. Fabian, I'm going to say it again. If Eric Spoelstra had 4 rings, he might go down there as the second greatest because you can I think Phil Jackson got 11 and 12 because he played for the Knicks and won one.
Right.
You can't argue with 11. But what Spoelstra does with that minimal amount of talent, Gregg Popovich can never do. Imagine Wembanyama right now in Miami. They might go to the chip again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So big shout out Bill Simmons, man. The way he broke it down was just so beautiful. And once again, I'm just glad people are not afraid to be honest. And it's no disrespect to Gregg Pop. But like I've been saying, I'm not saying go to the NBA Finals. I'm not saying you even got to go to a conference finals. But you literally are not even in the play-in. Like y'all are laughable. It's no excuse. It's inexcusable. We're supposed to be a GOAT head coach. Please, your thoughts on what Bill Simmons said, because I've been saying that and feeling like that forever.
I mean, again, certainly overrated because I agree with Phil Jackson. Once you have a superstar like that, and you know the Shaqs and Tim Duncan, it's like if you don't win, like Bob Hill, they fired him because he didn't win. They got rid of him. He got lucky when Rodman was there. They blamed him, and they tanked when Robinson hurt his back and then broke his foot, and he was out for the season. So they got lucky with that. And you need luck, of course. But the more you were talking, I'm thinking about a lot of stuff that he's getting away with, like the whole benching all your players and kind of being a part of the whole load management, leading it, being an authoritative figure. and load managing, blatantly doing it. The players always get the smoke for load management, and the coaches don't. The GMs don't. And he was both. He's both.
He's the godfather of load management.
Right. And I just think he's getting away with a lot, especially with what you're saying with Wemby. Because the thing that Bill Simmons said was like, and he had the other guy, I forgot, Thomas, whatever his name was last week, who said this first. That's what Bill Simmons actually got it from. Wemby, we all celebrated like they wanted Wemby to go to San Antonio with Gregg Popovich. That's a good thing for them. And he's like, "Are we sure about that?" Like that's to question that is insane. And I know another guy that you question, but I think he's better than Gregg Popovich, especially in this era. Ty Lue. Ty Lue he's won with LeBron. He had some bad luck. He's had some bad seasons, but he's also has to maneuver around these things and still motivate these guys. I don't see anybody running from Ty Lue. Like, and my point is, even if you don't agree he's better or whatever it is, he shouldn't be in the same conversation as Mr. GOAT. Is my point. Gregg Popovich should be clearing him. There's too much talent on San Antonio, in my opinion, to have Jeremy Sohan run the point guard. And you pick somebody else over Jeremy Sohan. I think it was Halliburton, whoever it was. They're going crazy over there in San Antonio.
Remember, a couple years ago, he wasn't up on shooting threes. And he's arrogant as hell. I've never liked Gregg Popovich.
Oh, another thing. I'm sorry. The other thing he got away with, because I was just thinking while you were talking, Spoelstra could have had those 4 rings with Miami with LeBron if LeBron was right. That first ring is LeBron's fault. The second ring that they lost was, I want to blame LeBron again. He should have went super mode, but D-Wade was hurt. There's a lot that went with that. But the 2 mistakes that nobody talks about, right? They barely bring up is the one you always bring up. You left Tim Duncan off the floor on the crazy rebound and 3-pointer by Ray Allen, right? That's a major one. The other one is if LeBron is hot, Game 7, he's hot. He's never hot. The whole thing was boxing one, zone him out, get him out of the paint and make him shoot jump shots. And he's hot. Nobody fouled him. What was your game plan to stop him in a championship when it all mattered? That was your strategy. He gets away with a lot for a guy who has a West Point military background, totally disciplined or whatever it is. You're supposed to be totally disciplined in those areas. He lost him that chip. Wow. And I got a stockpile on this. So I didn't this decade has been weird for him. He got a lot of praise, but now the media is starting to pick up on. This is mass. Bill Simmons in the Ringer. That's major media.
Yeah,
we're up there. We're getting up there. But you've been saying that, like you've been waving this flag. So that's why when it came out, I'm like, oh nah, 2 got ahead. This is crazy.
And that's a great point that you made. What great head coach in any sport takes out their best player at a crucial time in a championship game? Like, what's the excuse for that?
Closeout game.
So like I said, for me, you mishandled the Kawhi Leonard situation like no other. Like I said, we heard the stories from DeJounte Murray. You can YouTube it or Google it. Pause. With his own mouth, he said what was going on. Even with Steven Jackson, who he give Pop credit, but he also say, I was busting their ass in practice, and he wasn't understanding that. So for me, like I said, Popovich, Bill Belichick, I think out of all the coaches, I think those 2 more so. It was the players. It wasn't the coach. Now, can any coach have coached though? No, I'm not saying that. But they're overrated in the sense of when people call them GOATs. They ain't no GOATs. Would they be top 5? Yes, only because they have the hardware. But if we're talking smarts, know how to pick the players, make the right trades, we already know Bill Belichick is horrific when it comes to offense and trying to pick plays. He's legendary bad. Gregg Pop, what he's done with picks and things like that and trades and not holding on to players, trade for certain. Listen, big shout out to Bill Simmons. I'm just glad that there's still people out there that talk real sports and talk from a perspective of the average human being. Because once again, I know it's a lot of people that feel like that. If I was a Spurs fan or if I was a Patriots fan right now, diehard loyal, I would be calling for them guys to get out of here. So, yeah, man, like I said, you know how they say with players? Those coaches was along for the ride. I'm standing on that, and I will stick by that forever. Gregg Popovich, Bill Belichick was along for the ride. I'm saying it.
Right, and we can't say that they're Doc Rivers. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and say that when it mattered most, you know, Bob Popovich was Doc Rivers, but there are these mistakes that were made, and they're sliding for it. Another thing that's to add on there real quick is that if he was the leader of head coaches and management, he leading the way for load management. How is it that you couldn't understand Kawhi Leonard load managing? Like, that's how much you fumbled Kawhi Leonard. It's like he's the premier star. He's up there compared with everybody else. Look what he did against Giannis. He really said, "I'm going to guard Giannis in the champion," in the Eastern Conference Championship. And you knew what you had. You couldn't not know what you had. This guy's a robot. He's a cyborg. You saw that every day in practice. So I don't know what his deal is. I don't know if he's just senile right now. By the way, he is. We are going to give him his props. He is the all-time leader in wins in the regular season, followed by Don Nelson, my guy, Lenny Wilkens, Jerry Sloan, Pat Riley.
You better be the leader. You've been coaching for 50-something years. That's what I'm saying. Like when they go LeBron, you've been on the court for 30 years. You better have records.
Right, but right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, to your point, that's why the LeBron thing, the stats, we go like, yeah, okay, we get it, bro. We see the commercial in this. You're advertising yourself through stats. We ain't fooled by this.
Yeah. So I'm gonna leave on this note. Tom Brady, first year leaving New England, wins a championship. Kawhi Leonard, first year leaving San Antonio, wins a championship. Y'all think about that. And you know what slogan I'm starting to use? Argue with yourself. Because I ain't gonna argue with you. All ball reaction, and we out of here. All ball, suckers. All ball, suckers.